Dre Baldwin on today's Daily Motivation. We are talking second and third order consequences. What this really is about is you thinking multiple steps ahead from every action that you take. Second and third order consequences, for those who are not, familiar with the term, it simply means if we look at a first order consequence, that means if you do action A, what's going to be the response to it, or what's going to be the outcome from action A is going to be response B or outcome B. Second and third order consequence is what happens after B. You get C, D, E, F, G, and you go on and on. Those are the things that happen as a result of the thing that happened, and then the result of that, and the result of that, and the result of that. We all, some of you may be familiar with the concept that every action has an equal and opposite reaction, right? And also that energy is neither created nor destroyed. It's merely passed from one object to another. That's a law of conservation of energy, which means anything that you do, that energy goes out and it just passes somewhere else. And eventually, if you believe in the law of karma, that it comes back around to you at some point. So a second and third order consequence is about you thinking not just if I do this thing right here and then I get this outcome. This might be something that you want or something that you want to do in the moment. You also need to consider, okay, I'm going to get this outcome. That's going to happen. That's outcome B. But then what might happen after that, which is C? What might happen after that, which is D? What happens after that? E, F, and so forth and so on. So this is really about you considering the long-term ramifications of your actions, not just considering what is going to serve you or make you feel good or please you in the current moment. That's what this is really about. So let's think of an example. So let's say that you have somebody who's working for you or working with you. You're on the same team as them, or they're working in a company with you. Y'all have the same job, and they messed up. They made a mistake, and you really want to tell them about themselves. You want to cuss them out, yell at them, just berate them in front of everybody because you're really annoyed and really pissed off about their mistake, and they made this mistake before, and you're just tired of it, and you're just at your wits end and out of patience with this individual. So that's what you're thinking. And if you do that, action A, cuss them out, well, what will be the result B? The result B is that now they know about themselves. Now they have been told what they needed to hear. Now they might actually shape up and do what they're supposed to do or leave. Now everybody in there knows how you feel about that person because you just put them out there in front of everybody, maybe even embarrassed and humiliated them, and you feel good about it. All of this is outcome B. All of that's outcome B. You feel good about it because you've been holding them for a long time and trying to be nice and trying to be polite and political and diplomatic about it, and you got tired of being all that, and you just let it out and you let off some steam, and it feels good to finally just put that person in their place. All of that is outcome B. That's a first order consequence of you taking that action. Second order consequence is several things that you might not have considered, which might make you reconsider your action. Action A. Second order consequence is now this person might retaliate in some way. Maybe they'll go to the boss and get you in trouble for cussing them out the way that you did because it went against the employee code of conduct. Or maybe you're a manager. Maybe you might get written up or not be a manager anymore because you just did that to one of your subordinates. Maybe they'll claim some kind of discrimination if they're a female and you're a male, or if they're a minority and you're a white, then they might hold it against you for whatever reason, try to use that and flip it on you just because of that, even though that wasn't even the reason why you did it, but they could try to use it against you. They might end up quitting their job, and it might be harder for you to replace them than you thought it was because not anybody's looking for a job at the place that they just quit from. Maybe the other people who heard and saw you cuss this person out and berate them in front of everybody, maybe they will lose respect for you because they saw you lose your calm poise and your leadership frame because you went and just blew your stack, blew off the handle, and you lost control of your emotions in front of everybody. So now the rest of your staff has less respect for you because of what you just did, and they're going to talk about you behind your back in ways that you don't even know. Maybe somebody records it on their phone, they put it out on the internet, and now this hurts you from getting another job in the future, or hurts you from getting promoted in the future, or the company gets some kind of lawsuit against it for some kind of discrimination or workplace bullying or whatever. Again, even if that wasn't your intention, but this all happens to come back on you because of what you did and the way that you did it. Maybe you feel like less of a person in the future simply because you know you lost control of yourself emotionally and you allowed the moment to grab control of you. Now you got to come back and apologize 3 days later because you just lost control and you don't look like the leader that you looked like before you did this. Maybe because you did this, another second order consequence is the staff who works for you. Now, all of them are walking on eggshells. They're afraid to say anything to you. They're afraid to try anything that might end up being a mistake because they saw what you did to the last guy. They don't want to be the next person to have that happen to them. So now nobody wants to try anything. So actually the performance of your group doesn't get better because you just cussed out one of your employees. The performance gets worse because now everybody's afraid of you and afraid of having the same thing happen to them that happened to this other person. So you can see how all of these second order consequences are all things that you probably don't want to happen. But when you're thinking about yelling at this person because of the mistakes they keep making, you're not even considering the second order consequences. You're only thinking about the personal satisfaction you would get from telling them what they need to hear in that moment. Even though you would be right, you may still end up losing. So that's what we call a Pyrrhic victory. A Pyrrhic victory is a victory that ends up costing you more in the long run than you gain in the short term. And that goes back to ancient times when there was I can't remember exactly what factions were warring, but what happened is one group beat another group in a war and they won the war, but the cost to them to win the war, the money they spent, the bodies they got lost in the process of winning the war, they ended up losing more by winning than they would have lost had they just lost the war. So sometimes a win is not just a win. Not all wins are created equal. Sometimes your win costs you more than it actually gains you in the long term, and that's what a Pyrrhic victory is. When it would have been better off just losing or cutting your losses or not even getting into the game or the fight in the first place. So what we are really talking about here in the big picture is what we call, the word just escaped me, delayed gratification. That's the phrase, delayed gratification, which means that sometimes in life, you want to get your gratification right there in the moment because you see an opportunity to take some action that would satisfy you and please you right now. But if you think about the second and third order consequences of your actions, then you may decide it might be smarter to delay your gratification and get your gratification and your pleasure in that situation maybe later on and doing it in a more prudent way than doing it in a way that causes you to lash out or just act on whatever your emotions or your ego is telling you in the moment. Because your emotions and your ego are not lying to you, but they will often lead you somewhere that you probably don't want to be led right there in the moment. You should always make your decisions based on your logical thinking. You can let your ego and your emotions give input, but they don't get to make the final decision. As I like to say, your emotions are great gas pedals, but they are terrible steering wheels. Never let your emotions control the steering wheel of your life because they will drive you straight into a wall because emotions don't think the same way that logic does. So with all that said, that's what I mean when I talk about thinking about second and third order consequences, thinking of the long-term ramifications of anything you do before you do it. So with all that said, text me and let me know that you enjoyed today's daily motivation and also that you want to get my text message version of the daily motivation, which is a different message than what I put here on YouTube. You get that every day for free straight to your phone. My number is 305-384-6894. It's down below in the description. Also, Work on Your Game University. That's where everything else happens. You want to get coached by me. You want to get access to our highest level trainings and courses and frameworks. All of that's at workonyourgameuniversity.com. Link down below in the description. Make sure you like this video, share the video, comment on the video, tell your friends about this, subscribe to the channel so you're getting every time the video comes out, it'll be at the top of your feed, and also hit that notification bell. So every time I put a new video out, you get notified straight to your phone. There's a new daily motivation out from Dre Baldwin and Work on Your Game, so you'll be getting it straight to your phone every single day. So I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's daily motivation message. Work on your game.